And now, unhinged liberal tweets, read by Morgan Freeman. Donald Trump is a man whose brain is a rotting, pulsating sack of malignant narcissism and untreated syphilis of the soul. A man so completely detached from reality that he makes Caligula look like Mr. Rogers. Every time he opens his sewage-filled mouth, democracy itself convulses in horror. He is the human equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane composed of pure evil, stupidity, and the sludge you find in the bottom of a grease trap at McDonald's.
So much easier to digest when Morgan Freeman reads it in that beautiful, beautiful voice. Well, the right has got it wrong. Welcome to Mark Moseley Show. Everyone on the right has it wrong. The right has it wrong. Because everybody is out there saying they stole the election from Pratt. They stole the election from Pratt. Actually, they didn't. And I'll explain why coming up. Welcome to Mark Moseley Show. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on social medias at Mark Moseley on all social media platforms. We will have a new X account that you can follow, but for now, we're not on X. We're also going to be on Truth Social soon and probably TikTok, but maybe not. Being a boomer, we'll leave that one for the kids. They did not steal the election from Pratt. It's not fraud. They didn't cheat. Because cheating would be breaking the rules. So don't call it cheating because they're just following the rules that they put in place. What they did to Spencer Pratt is perfectly legal in California. Yes, California has legal weed like to fix our elections. Of course, you would think it was cheating. Take a look at this graph. I mean, look at that. Do you see where everybody was standing on election night? And then the next day, we're going to see some early post-election trends right there, post-election day. And look at that, post-election day, Bass is trending down hard, and Pratt is actually seeing a slight uptick. Is he going to potentially catch Bass? Raman in a distant third. This is not looking good for Raman, who has already given a weepy concession speech. But hang on, folks. Hold on. Here comes Raman galloping up from third place. It's Bass in the lead, followed by Pratt. Closer and closer by Pratt. But look, here comes Nithya, the communist Raman. It's Bass, then Pratt, then Raman. And Raman is pouring on the steam. And now Raman has passed Pratt, and look at her go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can believe in miracles. Dreams can come true here in the City of Angels, which coincidentally is run by demons. There is a perfectly logical explanation for all of this, you see. The perfectly logical explanation is that Raman is much more socialist than Bass, and thus, even though Bass is plenty socialist, she just doesn't have that street rep, that street socialist rep, okay? And so Raman is much more popular with the super smart fans of socialism, those kids out there who vote late and mail in their ballots and who have discovered this very cool new thing that's only 200 years old called socialism. Yeah, have you heard about it? It's really, really just awesome. And boy, does this look goofy, though. Bass did not trend up at all. Take a look again. With the late batches, even Pratt saw a small bump. But look at Raman. After Election Day, she was trending down harder than Pratt and Bass initially. And then boom, right when we need to shut out the moronic MAGA Nazi joke candidate, there she goes, just like a rocket. Now, this isn't cheating because in California, so many things are legal to allow election officials to legally get the results that they need to get. For example, you can make any mark at all on your mail-in ballot on the signature line. You can just draw a little line there, a smiley face, an X, whatever you want. You could draw a picture of a penis if you want. It doesn't have to match your signature that's registered with the county. as long as you have the witness signature, which can be literally anyone else's signature, and which is not, by the way, subject to the same scrutiny as your signature. So, and that ballot counts, and it's all perfectly legal. It's not cheating. Also in California, you can register to vote with your water bill and a signature that says, "I promise, under penalty of law, I am a U.S. citizen. See, here's my water bill as proof." But Mark, that's a felony. Sure it is. Yes, absolutely. You're right. But it's a felony on paper. Registering or voting as a non-citizen in California is a serious felony under both state and federal law, carrying prison time and deportation risk. However, the practice is capital R-A-R-E-L-Y, rarely prosecuted. Critics argue that this is a system that looks tough on paper, but is largely unenforced. Meanwhile, estimates for the number of illegal aliens living in California is about 2.9 million people. Very, very few investigations, very, very few, even fewer convictions, over a handful, only about a handful, over more than a decade, despite millions and millions of registrations during that time. So, but here's the part that I find just the tiniest bit odd in all of this. Allow for a second the argument that this is cheating. Why? The big question is, why did you need to cheat Raman into second place? Here's the part that doesn't make sense from a purely pragmatic perspective. Bass would surely have picked up most of the votes, almost all of the votes that Raman got in the primary, and would have absolutely smoked Spencer Pratt in the general election. Likely be something like 60, 30, 33. Just a highly embarrassing and deeply satisfying butt kicking for the Trump-backed joke Nazi MAGA fascist candidate, the has-been racist Trump-licking gag of a candidate. Why the need to shut him out now? Why not let him go on to the general and just get shellacked by Bass? To me, that's the big question. Why did they need to cheat Raman into second place? Well, maybe so that LA has to vote for a communist for mayor, I guess. As X users Gaze for Trump on X pointed out, here's an anomaly that they pointed out on X. Nithya Raman lost her own district, District 4, to Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass, but you expect us to believe she beat both of them by winning 40% of the vote in the rest of the city by mail-in ballots. And you can see in this graphic there, in District 4, she came in third because she's not listed there. You have Bass, then Pratt in first and second place in her own district, where you would think she'd be strong. Check this out on ChatGPT. It says this graphic is real. Quote, the Post's core claim is accurate. Nithya Raman, incumbent council District 4, she's a council member, placed behind Bass and Pratt in her home district. Yet mail-in ballots from other city districts enabled her to narrowly overtake Pratt for second place. That's according to Gaze for Trump on X. And before you say Gaze for Trump, that's oxymoronic. They're voting against their own interests. May I remind you that you will have 2 admitted communists to choose from in November in Hollywood, the center, the epicenter of one of the most grotesquely capitalistic meritocracies in the world. A complete meritocracy where beauty and a dollop of talent get you right to the top. An industry where Jimmy Kimmel is making no exaggeration, 20,000 times more money than the lady putting his makeup on. But where he demands to know who has the nerve to vote for Pratt. More on that coming up. But now, barring some miracle, successful lawsuit for a recount, which we still have plenty of time to do, but it'll never happen. They'll find some judge to shut it down. Shut her down. We don't need that. No. This is a threat to our socialist democracy. They should just start saying that, by the way. This is a threat to our socialist utopian society we're trying to create. So now it looks as though LA city voters will get to pick in the fall between an avowed communist and an avowed communist. Or as the Babylon Bee put it, the candidates whose views range from Marxist to very Marxist will have 5 months to make their case for who is the better commie. What a country. But the story that the media is not really talking about, because they're actively working very quickly to just move on. Let's move on from Spencer Pratt. Push it all under the rug, is the fact that a whole bunch of people in super liberal Hollywood la la land voted for the Republican. And that can only be because things are so bad in the city of Los Angeles with the crime and the homelessness and the pooping on the streets and the drug epidemic. It's so bad that even Gwyneth Paltrow has been shoved out of the left over to the center. Maybe you saw this this past week on her episode of the Goop podcast. By the way, we're going to be testing some names for this show, because when I picked out the name for this show, I said, you know what? I want to go against the trend of like trying to come up with a clever name, like some kind of a pun or play on words, and just going to call it Mark Moseley Show. So we're going to be testing some new names for the show. Off the top of my head, I thought this came to me this week, just out of the blue. How about the Mark Moseley Experience? Huh? That could work. Anyway, on her podcast, because every celebrity has a podcast now. If you're a celebrity and you don't have a podcast, I don't know what the heck your problem is. You better get on that, because Gwyneth Paltrow's got a podcast. She was discussing the polarized political climate. She opened up about her own views and how they compare to her husband, Brad Falchuk's. She described her husband as so progressive, with such a sweet heart, who wants to make sure everyone is looked after. And we'll do the looking after you. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. She says, I'm pretty centrist, and my husband thinks I'm a Republican, which I'm not a Republican. Well, yeah, because that's the worst thing you can be called in Hollywood. I don't feel anything right now, to be totally honest with you. I feel like I'm completely an independent. You got it, Gwyneth. What have I said on this podcast in the past? Hollywood political culture will let you get away with saying that you're an independent or a libertarian. But only if you're an A-lister. You know, if you're a journeyman actor, if you're a crew member of any kind, if you're the lady putting on Jimmy Kimmel's makeup, you better shut up and just do your job and make sure that nobody finds out you're a Republican, or they will crush you. Gwyneth talked about having to weave together lots of different points of view and moving away from righteousness and anger and fear in today's binary political environment. It is binary. It is. And a lot of people think Donald Trump is the cause. I say he's the effect. But that's a big, long, dark tunnel that we can go down some other time. Paltrow has a history of supporting Democrats, but recently she's praised aspects of RFK Jr.'s Maha movement as important, and in the past made comments like finding a Trump presidency kind of fun. Well, yeah, it is that. It's never boring. We are never boring. You never know what we're going to say from 1 minute to the next. We are going to bomb the ever-loving bleep out of Iran in 5 minutes and tweet. Never boring. That clip went viral with reactions ranging from conservatives celebrating her as evidence that the left has moved too far left to left-leaning outlets calling her just vague. So she may have voted for Pratt, but here comes Jimmy Kimmel saying the quiet part out loud. Kimmel is so cocky at this point, he can joke about Hollywood blacklisting.
It could take a while for Democrats here in Los Angeles to figure out which of their friends secretly voted for Spencer Pratt. Barring a late ballot buzzer beater, it appears that Mayor Karen Bass will advance to a runoff against the former reality show villain. 60% of the vote has been counted. If that holds, it means that in November, Los Angelinos are going to have to choose between a woman named Karen and a man who is one. This is insane.
There you go. See what he said there? Figure out which one of their friends secretly is the key word, secretly voted for Pratt. Because you have to do it in secret. I know, Mark, it's just jokes. No, but it's really not. It really isn't. And maybe one day I'll write a book about Hollywood blacklisting. Of course, all my sources will have to be anonymous. But now you can't even question. You can't even, Pratt better watch out how much of a stink he makes. Because, they have this new law that Governor Newsom has signed. And in fact, the governor said he might put President Trump in jail. Okay, good luck with that. Who's here? Newsom? And he's got handcuffs? Yeah, send him in. Bless his little authoritarian heart in a move straight out of the protect democracy by jailing your opponent's playbook. Where have we heard that before? Oh, yeah, every authoritarian regime for the last 175 years. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed SB 73, a shiny new law sold as safeguarding elections from big bad interference from above. But in typical Newsom fashion, he couldn't resist jumping on X to taunt that it could slap up to 3 years in prison on politicians who spread election lies, and will be the judge of what is an election lie. You question California's pristine, totally not suspicious election processes at your own peril, and especially if your name rhymes with Ronald Crump. Because nothing says free and fair like criminalizing skepticism. Gavin Newsom preemptively threatening the Orange Man and anybody else with the audacity to notice that California elections smell worse than the tenderloin on a hot Tuesday. It's like the Parks and Rec meme come to life.
No trial, no nothing. Journalists, we have a special jail for journalists.
You question our elections, straight to jail. But of course, these people are forgetting one thing. One word, discovery. It's one thing to be all big and bad on social media, but when you get to court and the rubber meets the road and we get to see all of the evidence, oops. And this is just handed to me. Oh, make a motion like I'm being handed a piece of paper. Okay. This is just handed to me. This just into the newsroom here at Mark Moseley Show. Nithya Raman has just passed Donald Trump to win the 2024 presidential election. In a stunning upset that has pollsters and Democrats alike scratching their heads in carefully scripted confusion, progressive LA City Council member Nithya Raman has officially passed Donald Trump to win the 2024 presidential election. Raman, who ran on a platform of defunding the police, housing the homeless in your backyard, and replacing the national anthem with a land acknowledgement remix, surged ahead in the final hours thanks to a massive turnout of mostly peaceful voters in deep blue strongholds. Raman told a cheering crowd of avocado toast enthusiasts and unemployed TikTok activists, quote, "Tonight, America chose hope, equality, misprint, equity, and an end to the tyranny of personal responsibility. Donald Trump may have won those flyover states, But here in real America, we've moved beyond silly things like borders, budgets, and biological reality. She then unveiled her first executive action, converting the White House into a 47-unit affordable housing co-op, complete with safe needle injection sites in the Rose Garden. Political analysts noted that Raman's victory became inevitable once she secured the crucial endorsements of Queers for Palestine, several convicted shoplifters unions, and glowing testimony from Hunter Biden's art dealer. Trump, for his part, reportedly responded by posting, "Fake news! I'm still leading by 14 million votes in the states that actually matter," before heading to Mar-a-Lago to film a victory speech that mainstream media outlets have already dubbed dangerous misinformation. And this just in, breaking update, President-elect Raman has reportedly drafted legislation to make misgendering a federal hate crime punishable by firing squad, while reminding the nation that, quote, democracy dies when my opponents are allowed to speak. Welcome back to Mark Moseley Show. Well, Pratt is dangerous and he must be stopped. But Graham Platner, well, he's just a rascal. Oh, what a scamp. It's all good. Remember that was the pitch back in the days of Bill Clinton? Oh, man, I was just a good old Southern tail chaser. Tail chaser. Yeah, that's right. I'm a little drunk right now. I was just a scamp, just a playboy, just a wink and a nod and a smile, and so charming. And so it is with Graham Platner. In fact, check out this lady who thinks his Nazi tattoo is not a big deal. But watch how the clip takes an ironic turn.
Totenkopf tattoo, the Nazi tattoo. How do you kind of...
Somebody said that they talked to somebody who had seen one of those or wore one of those, and it was silver, and it didn't even occur to him that it was the same thing. I think people are making as much of it as they can because they don't have a lot of substance around anything else. And if they did, we'd hear about it, believe me. They are trolling for dirt.
What if he had like a Israeli flag tattoo or something? Would that be a deal breaker?
For me?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
That would be
Israeli? Yeah, because I don't support genocide, and he doesn't either.
I mean, just let that marinate for a second. A literal Nazi war crime symbol? No big deal. Just a drunken night as a Marine. But an Israeli flag? Oh, man, you got to go in the cancel pile. Imagine if Spencer Pratt had an Israeli flag tattoo. He would have been done but it just would have fallen right at the gate. But that's the moral hierarchy of the modern left. An SS tattoo gets a participation trophy, and Jewish symbols, well, you're a genocider. And she hasn't heard the news, apparently, that Platner did know what the tattoo meant when he got it. Graham Platner maintains he got the tattoo in 2007 while drunk on leave in Croatia with fellow Marines. They picked a skull and crossbones off the wall that looked cool, and he had no idea of its Nazi links, used by the SS Death's Head units, until reporters brought it up in late 2025. He since covered it up. But multiple independent accounts contradict this narrative. Ex-girlfriend Lindsay Fifield, in August 2025, she texted friends describing his chest tattoo as a Nazi tattoo and specifically called it a Totenkopf. She stated that he referred to it as my Totenkopf while they were together. In a 2012 bar incident, a former acquaintance said that at a Capitol Hill bar called the Tune Inn, Platner took his shirt off, pointed to the tattoo, and called it my Totenkopf in a cutesy way. He gave varying accounts at the time about when he first learned its meaning. Former political director Genevieve McDonald said Platner knew, quote, damn well what it meant and had even flagged it to her as potentially problematic earlier. In other words, he said, oh, should I get rid of this? Should I cover this up? Is this going to be a problem? And a CNN investigation uncovered deleted social media posts and other evidence indicating awareness of the symbol's military/Nazi adjacent connotations. But never mind all that, because we need to take the Senate so that when we impeach Trump, we might have the votes to actually remove him from office. By the way, thanks to everybody last week who liked and shared my Platner spoof from last week's episode, which really pushed us into virality. Thank you very much, compared to the baseline number of views that I get from my show. And we've seen some really nice growth over recent weeks. Back with more examples of naive women after these messages. But first, friends, you may have heard about Remilk, the very real new no-cow lab-grown milk substitute. It's a thing, Remilk. Well, this portion of Mark Moseley Show podcast is brought to you by my brand new friends at Fooled. That's food with an L jammed in there. In this crazy world where everything natural is suddenly problematic, our new sponsor, Fooled, has you covered. Fooled delivers perfectly organic, component-free meals straight to your door. That's right, 100% man-made, zero ingredients from nature. No pesky farms, no evil cows, no dirty soil, just pure lab-engineered nutrition designed in a sterile facility by people who definitely went to college for this kind of thing. Perfect for busy, on-the-go, completely disaffected Gen Z foodies who want their meals as fake as their gender. Whether it's the Soylent Green adjacent breakfast bowl or the petroleum-based chicken nuggets, Fooled is proof that science has finally improved on God's deeply flawed original recipes. So head on over to FOOLD.com and use the code Moseley for 10% off your first box of delicious meals. Thanks to Fooled. Real food is passé, so leave that to the boomers and get Fooled. That's Fooled with an L, and we all know what the L stands for.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril.
Sometimes I think, sure, Graham Platner's got a big Nazi Totenkopf SS tattoo on his chest, cheated on multiple girlfriends, and allegedly smacked a few of them around. But thank goodness he's not some sleazy reality TV star who likes Donald Trump.
Well, the left is defending Graham Platner, but then again, this is the political ideology that's also defending Carmelo Anthony. Yes, and it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It's as if the rules of society should not apply when we say they shouldn't apply. To which I say, okay, if we're going to have anarchy, just tell us straight up so we can all go and load our guns and get ready. Seriously. Do we want nihilism? Do we want total anarchy? Yes or no? Because this picking around the edges is not gonna hold forever. We're not just gonna wait around until complete anarchy breaks out. We will be ready. We will have all of our guns loaded. All of the guns. Yes, Jasmine Crockett. Now, I could play you the video of what Jasmine said about the Carmelo Anthony trial, or I could just read it to you, which I think will be much more satisfying. Quote, "Black women, especially black women who have black male children, live in fear and agony every single day. A fear and agony that I promise you, the Metcalfs," that's the family of the young man that was murdered, "probably never spend a day living that way. And we're gonna have to just have some real conversations about race in this country, because we haven't been for the last 50 years. Now it's time to have a conversation about race because Jasmine Crockett said so. She's here and she's ready to talk about race." Continuing with the quote, "One of the reasons you want a jury of your peers is because of your actual lived experiences. Like today, I'm fighting because, Republicans are telling me that, they are the warriors for making sure they can get rid of racism. Like what? Like what are you talking about? And then you're going to tell me as a black woman what ain't racist? Are you serious right now? I don't think whether you were the Asian women or whether you were the white men that you understand what it is to be black in America and to be a black boy. And frankly, I don't know what it is to be a black boy, but I have lived experiences with black boys and black men to at least have some frame of reference. Black women live in agony every day, according to Crockett. Universally, like every black woman in America lives in agony every day. But apparently, a white family's grief over their slaughtered son is discounted by her. She actually said those words, that they never lived a day as a black person, so they don't know. And they shouldn't be making such a big deal about their dead kid. This is peak Democrat right now. Protect the criminal, inflame racial tensions, and lecture the rest of us about what empathy is. It is absolutely breathtaking to watch. America is not a perfect society, but let me tell you something. You go to other countries around the world, and races don't get along harder than in America. Try being anything but Chinese in China and see how that goes for you. Try living in China and you're not Chinese. You could be white, black, another Asian culture, Muslim, whatever. Anyway, speaking of naive women, Jill Biden has got to be the dumbest woman alive. Just a pile of rocks. This is a thing that liberals do. They create narratives that paint themselves into the corner of two choices. They'll say things that you only have two choices. You're either lying or you are the dumbest thing walking. I mean, Joe Biden, I don't know if Joe Biden was a player. Like a hound dog, like a scamp, like Bill Clinton, or like a playboy, like Donald Trump. But brother, you could have been, because apparently you could have had a whole string of side pieces. This woman that you're married to is the most unaware, naive woman ever. Because that's the perception that she's out there actively creating now. First, it started with, I thought Joe was having a stroke, so, we went to a rally and then got some flapjacks. By the way, cue that video up. Can we talk about that video? There was a thing that jumped out at me when I played this on the show 2 weeks ago. And now that I've seen it, I cannot unsee it. So I want to point it out to you. Watch the video.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
It's how she's talking about Joe and to Joe like he's a special needs kid. You did it, Joe. You answered every question. Wait, what? I mean, look, I know she's a former educator, but to talk about your husband, who's standing right there, who's the president of the United States, like he's a kid that just got off the short bus and has to wear special shoes. I mean, it's not just me that sees that now, right? Now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Leave me a comment on YouTube if you also can't unsee that now. Anyway, the Jill Biden Bimbo book tour is continuing. The name of the book is View from the East Wing. Well, apparently there is no view from the East Wing. It's just a big drapery covering the window because Jill saw nothing. Like Schultz, I see nothing. She's been going around doing interviews where she says she saw no cognitive decline.
Did you ever see signs that he was falling into cognitive decline?
No.
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 Truly?
No.
No? No. No? No. Yeah? Nothing? No. I said no. Stop asking me.
Is he though?
I said he's fine, and how dare you use the Thor is he though meme? How dare you? So here you go. She's either A, a liar, or B, the dumbest person walking. I mean, I guess there's a third choice where they're planning on us just not knowing that she's lying somehow, but it's just weak. She, the woman who was around Joe Biden all day, every day, married to the man, she couldn't see what everyone else in the world saw whenever Joe got up from his nap and toddled out to the microphone.
God bless you all.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate. But for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities where life will be transformed, thank you. So thank you, President Biden, for your outstanding leadership.
She didn't see it. So what were we looking at there then, Jill, if it wasn't cognitive decline? Was it just a one long 4-year stroke? Maybe it was a Joe Biden robot, and every once in a while they forgot to crank the little thing, the little gear on the back of his, the gear in his back. I'm telling you, man, that woman is not the smartest person. Joe Biden, you could have had more chicks than a poultry farmer. Meanwhile, the left is pretty sure that Trump had a stroke recently. According to a new fact check from Snopes, claims that Trump suffered a secret stroke in May 2026 and vanished from public view for a full week are completely false. Trump was actually out there doing what he does, holding cabinet meetings, recording interviews, golfing, signing executive orders, posting on Truth Social, at 3:14 a.m. The White House called the stroke talk categorically false and slanderous, and the timeline is there to prove it. And it's the same people who, take Jill Biden at her word when she says, no cognitive decline. But now they're like studying, Trump's golf swing like they're looking at the Zapruder film. They're focused on the thing on his hand, like, oh my God, it's horribly bruised. It's getting worse. Look at that. People on X immediately declared it proof of imminent doom. Never mind that Trump and his physician have repeatedly explained the bruising comes from his aspirin regimen, which he takes at a higher dose because he's superstitious. But, keep hyperventilating over some makeup-covered veins while you ignored Biden. That thing on his head, it's horrible. Well, he's 80. Have you ever seen a good-looking 80-year-old hand? I haven't. They are so obsessed with him dying. Wait a minute, this just into the newsroom. Trump stubbed his toe, sparking massive left-wing panic. Is he dying? Please, God, let him be dying. In a story that has medical experts and MSNBC hosts alike plunging their paychecks on Calci, President Trump reportedly stubbed his big toe on a dresser while getting dressed at Mar-a-Lago on Wednesday morning, instantly triggering a full-blown media meltdown and frantic prayers from blue-check liberals hoping for the big one. My God, did you see the way he slightly favored his right foot? This could be it, tweeted one particularly deranged CNN contributor. White House officials confirmed the injury was less severe than last year's #paper cut, and that Trump continued his day normally playing golf, signing executive orders, and posting 60 times on Truth Social in 4 hours. But that didn't stop the left from breathlessly analyzing footage frame by frame for signs of impending toe necrosis. Al Sharpton, quoted on his MS Now show, said, "The man is clearly rotting from the waist down. The poetic justice here is that the 200-year-old White House bedpost he stubbed his toe on was likely built by slave labor." Within minutes, hashtag Trump toe gangrene was trending as pundits prayed to their god Moloch that the minor contusion would eventually lead to sepsis, amputation, and a glorious Kamala Harris ascension. Not J.D. Vance, a.k.a. Super Trump, like a normal person would assume, but somehow, in support of their delusional fantasies, it would be President Kamala, whose only physical impairment, by the way, is rug-burned knees. Well, welcome back to Mark Moseley Show on socials at Mark Moseley. And man, there's a lot of breaking news on the show today. This just in, another nationwide injunction against Trump. District Court Judge Elliot Harrington has just ruled that President Trump is prohibited from attending any more Knicks games. Breaking news into the show. And now it's time to wrap up things with our Doofus of the Week. A Florida woman was arrested after allegedly pretending to work at Costco in Tampa and turning the sample station into an impromptu happy hour for shoppers. Authorities say 32-year-old Brianna Keller entered the store dressed in black pants, a red polo, and a fake badge reading Crystal Beverage Team, then spent nearly an hour handing out tequila shots in tiny ketchup cups beside the snack aisle. She reportedly paired liquors with frozen appetizers, telling customers it was technically a tasting event, and even proposed bottomless sample Fridays to management. The stunt ended when a manager noticed the scene, and Keller was arrested while shouting, "Who's ready for round two?" as officers escorted her out. Well, that actually didn't happen. That was a fake story from the internet. Widely claimed, though, that it did happen, that it was real. So watch out what you believe. But this one did happen. Here we go with a real Doofus of the Week, where we celebrate the absolute brightest stars in America's criminal justice system. Well, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is how you're supposed to pronounce it down there, Detonje Wiggins decided it was a brilliant idea to rob his former workplace, the Take 5 oil change stop in Baton Rouge. He was smart enough to keep his face hidden from the security cameras. Now, because he worked there, he knew where the security cameras were, and he was really, really clever about hiding so that he wasn't caught on camera. Got away clean with a whopping $200. But wait, Wiggins wasn't as clever as he thought and celebrated his master plan too quickly. He forgot one tiny little detail. The entire crime was captured in glorious high definition, 4K, and when the manager reviewed the footage, he didn't need to see the thief's face at all, because Detonje's got swagger. And by swagger, we mean an unmistakable gait, a highly unique way of walking. One look at the video and the boss said, "I know exactly who that is. That's the Wiggins Wiggle. Look at that." Now Detonje in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, has a visage rouge, or a red face, in a scandal his fellow employees are calling Gate. That's the show. Until next time, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.